Hello plant friends, this is Mira from Basie Plants on Instagram and welcome to my channel. Before starting my Instagram page, I actually wanted to start a YouTube channel, but for one reason or another I never really did that. But I think now is as good a time as any to do so. In this video, I want to show you some of the plants that I like to grow. These are not my favorite plants by any means, and they are not ranked in any particular way. It's just something so you can get to know me a little bit better. Because I think the best way to know someone who is growing plants is actually through their plants. So I would like to start with aroids because they're quite popular now, and it's actually a plant family that I really enjoy. And the first aroid that I would like to show you is this Alocasia, and this is Alocasia caprea. And you can see it is looking quite nice still. It does have a new leaf. A funny story, I actually recorded this video about 5 times, and this leaf was quite small when it started, but now, you know, it's taken me this long to record the video. And it actually has a new leaf coming in right here, so you can see. I've only had this plant for maybe 3 months or so, and you can actually see the story of how I got this plant on my Instagram. And it's doing quite nice, I have to say. I keep it in this terracotta pot, and the mixture is quite porous. It's mostly bark with a bit of perlite, some leca, and then a bit of coco peat, and just general potting soil. And this isn't typically perhaps the mix that you would use for alocasias because they do like to stay moist. But it's because of that I decided to just go with something that's more porous, so even though if I water more frequently, it can still drain nicely and I don't have to worry about the root rot. So I do keep this plant under an LED light, and it has done nicely, so it's not near a window at all, and I can see that it doesn't really mind the LED light. And it's a bit funky looking, and it's mostly my fault because when I repotted it, I didn't do quite a good job. So you can see that one is going this way and the other one is going this way. So that's something that I'll have to work on next time I repot this plant, which I don't think is going to be anytime soon, but sometime in the future. Another cool aroid is this Anthurium clarinervium, and you can see it here. And actually, since I told you I did record this video quite a few times, this plant was actually in bloom for one of those videos. It's not in bloom anymore, but now it does have a new leaf coming in right there. So, you know, something happens every time I record this video. If this isn't the final version, who knows what might happen next time. So this is quite an easy Anthurium to grow, and you can see the leaves are quite large. The leaf here, this is actually one of the newer leaves that has grown here, but I wasn't giving it enough light, so you can see the leaf petal is quite long and the leaf is small. And the mix that I'm using is quite similar to that of Alocasia. It has a lot of wood bark, perlite. It doesn't have any leca in it, but it does have perlite and wood bark and coco peat, and then some general potting mix. And I think the next time I repot this, I will actually put it in even more of a porous mix. So I think if you can get your hands on this Anthurium, it's quite an easy plant to take care of. It doesn't require a lot of humidity, it doesn't require a lot of light. It's not too finicky, it will not give you a lot of headache, and I think it's a beautiful addition to anyone's collection. The next family that I would like to talk about are Gesneriads, and I do have some African violets with me today. I have 6 violets here. I do have some on my shelf here, and you can kind of see them there. But some of them are in bloom, and one is just to show you the difference in size. An interesting thing about violets is that they are near extinct in their native habitat, but the violets that I have here are actually Russian or Ukrainian hybrids, so they're not really close to the original form. Actually, I'm not gonna bother by trying to pronounce the name of the hybrid. I will just put the name somewhere on the screen. This is Tango on something, Tango na uglech. I'm not sure. I'll just put the name here. And you can see it does have a really nice flower. This one I can actually pronounce. This is Le Eli, and it has a nice double flower. It's kind of pinkish and a bit of green and white, and it does have variegation on the leaves. So one that I can pronounce. The next one is, again, another one that I cannot pronounce. It's Deo Snežny Večer, which I think is just snow evening. So you can actually see this violet has a nice flower. It's kind of purple and white, but it doesn't show up really nicely on camera. And you can see it does have some variegation on the leaf as well. I think this one doesn't have the correct ID. The flower is supposed to be red, or the violet might have sported, which is a topic for a different video. This is Le Antares. So this was sent to me as a gift, so I don't know, maybe it's sported, maybe it will be red the next time around. I don't really know. But it's still nice that I can see it in bloom. So this is La Leila, and you can see it has a pinkish flower. It's quite simple, the flower, and it does have some nice variegation in the leaves. The margins are purple of the leaf. Cannot really see that easily on the camera. But I think it's quite nice, and the flowers are a bit different than other violets, so I think it's a nice addition to the collection. And I just wanted to show you the last one. It's not in bloom now, but just so you can see the difference in size. This is not even the standard size. I think this is in between the standard and the miniature, but this is the miniature one, so you can see it's smaller, significantly smaller. It does have some buds, but it's still not in bloom, so maybe if I record this video 2 or 3 more times, you will be able to see it in bloom. But this is called Tamsin, and the leaves have a different shape to them, so I think it's quite cute. And now I would like to talk about another unpopular family, and it's orchids. And I have 3 orchids here. I do have more. I don't have many. I think maybe around 10 or 20 orchids in different stages, but I would like to get more. Funny story about this orchid. This is Paphiopedilum Pinocchio. When I first recorded the video, it was in bloom, then it wasn't, and now it is in bloom again. So, and this Paphiopedilum is very, very nice. You can actually see a photo of it on my Instagram. It doesn't have a scent to it, but I think the flower is just amazing. The colors and then the hairs are just great. And it's a sequential bloomer, which means it will continue to bloom for you if you give it the right conditions. You can actually see next to this open flower here, there are some buds, and when this one is about to fade, the buds will grow. And it's even possible to have several stalks in bloom if you do preserve this one, because it is a sympodial orchid, which means you will have more orchids growing from the sides. So there is another small one here. Another cute Paphiopedilum I would like to show you is the Mariafema. It's not in bloom, but I think the leaves are just beautiful. They are mottled leaves. You can see that's where the stem was, and it does have new growth here. So it's also a sympodial orchid, as all Paphiopedilums, but this one is quite slow, so I think we will not see this guy in bloom probably until next fall. So the last orchid I would like to show you is this Ludicea. This is Ludicea discolor. So you can see a bit of a close-up here. It has really nice veining on the leaves. So like Paphiopedilum, this is kind of a sympodial orchid. So I actually got this one not so long ago. I do have a smaller one that has started to put out new shoots, but I was very clumsy and I broke one of them off, so I have 2 very small Ludiceas, but this was such a good deal for this size that I really couldn't pass it up. And hasn't really bloomed for me, but I think they're not grown for their flowers, but for their beautiful foliage. It's kind of velvety, very dark, and it has this beautiful veining on them. And they really don't mind if you put them in a shadier location because they usually grow under some trees. So they're terrestrial orchids, so they don't really require a lot of light. And the last plant family I would like to talk about is the dogbane family, and specifically Hoyas. I have here 5 Hoyas to show you. I do have a small collection of around 40, but I think that's something we can see in another video. Unfortunately, since I took my sweet time recording this video, this Hoya is not in bloom anymore, but it was quite nice when it was. This is Hoya Rangsan, and you can see the leaf is just, this one is huge. But these leaves here, this is a new one, it's just beautiful. The flower is yellow. It doesn't have a strong scent to it, and you cannot really see the flower because my camera will not focus. Nope. Focusing is just not happening. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the flower. I do have some of them that are still in flower, but the camera won't focus, so you cannot really see what's happening here. But the flower is quite nice. Maybe I can show you some roots. Can you see that? Kinda. Oh, the root porn. Why is it called the root porn though? The next Hoya that I would like to show you is Hoya caudata. This is the silver leaf caudata. You can see this one has a very, very nice silver pattern to the leaf. It's kind of fuzzy. It's very, very rough. It really does feel like cardboard. And I do have a new vine here, but unfortunately it stopped growing for me. It got way too close to my LED light, so the tip is just burned. But that's okay, I will have new vines growing. This Hoya is one that you have seen on my Instagram, and this is Hoya callistophylla. And this is similar to the Finlaysonii type Hoyas, and it has a very dark green veining on the leaf, and the leaves are also kind of velvety, also rough, cardboardy, like the Hoya caudata. It has been a very slow grower for me, but I do hope that it will grow soon. The next two Hoyas that I would like to show you, actually picked them out because they look a little bit different than the Hoyas that you have just seen. The first one is the Hoya linearis. It's a funky little beast. This one has been growing here for about half a year. I kept it in my window, in my west-facing window, about 1 meter pulled back, but it hasn't done much in terms of new growth. But now it's closer to my LED light, and it really doubled, and it started in size and length, and it started branching out. It did lose some leaves here, and that's because I didn't water it on time, so the leaves will just drop, unfortunately. But you know, it's a good way to propagate. I can just cut here, and then I should be able to get a new cutting from this, and then of course it will start to branch out. But I think it's quite nice. I have another one, but it's also kind of smallish like this one, but I cannot wait for it to get longer and I can use it as my Hoya wick. The last Hoya that I would like to show you is this funky looking Hoya retusa. The vine that you can see here is actually the new growth it has put out since September of 2019, and it did put out some new growth here. It was perhaps a 3-note cutting when I got it, and I just laid it flat on the soil. I pinned it down with some wire that you can kind of see here. It's holding it down, and it rooted really, really nicely. I do hope that you enjoyed this video and the plants that I showed you. So I know that perhaps you didn't like the violets or the orchids, but those are just the plants that I like to grow. And of course, I don't have to talk about them so much on the channel, but I do intend to talk about Hoyas and aroids. So that would be all from me for today. I will see you in the next video. I hope you will have a great weekend, and I hope that your plants are doing great in the winter months. Bye!